Mrs. Z here. Look what's going on today. Let me zoom in there so you can see. That is a tractor pulling the grain cart. We are in the middle of corn harvest here at the farm. I love to see corn harvest. I've already talked to Brian, and he assures me that you and I can take a ride with him in the combine that he's driving. So I'm just arriving at the field just in time to see the tractor pulling the grain cart. That grain cart is full of corn that the combine has emptied into it. And now, look what's happening. See at the top there? The auger is over the semi-truck, and it's dumping all those beautiful yellow corn kernels into the semi-truck, which will then take it to the bins at the farm. That yellow kernel there is what the farmer has been working for months. That's the harvest right there. Isn't that beautiful? So come on, let's see if we can hitch that ride and head on out to the combine for the Corn Harvest 2021. And there they are. It looks like you're running two today, Mr.
Yes,
John.
yes.
Who's driving those combines?
Jim's driving one, Brian Bell's driving the other.
So Mr. Jim is your son, right? Awesome. And Brian, we all know Brian because he's been on here before,
Right.
but Mr. Jim has two. And Mr. Brian has already told me that I could ride with him. Which one's he in, do you know?
Oh, that one.
That one on the left. Okay, we're going to see if we can see him. Yep, he's waving at us.
Magic.
Looky there, guys. Those combines are both emptying into that auger wagon that we're pulling in this tractor. Isn't that cool? What does that yellow gold mean to you, Mr. John?
Yeah. Means we can farm again next year.
Exactly. Now, why do you say that?
We can pay our help, we can make a little money.
Yeah.
Pay our bills.
That's what it's all about. You're selling that grain, right? And that's how a farmer keeps going. He's not just planting corn because he likes doing it. Most of them do, though.
Sure, that's
But-
why we do it. We like it.
We like it, but we're planting it to make a living. We have to sell that corn, and the money that we make from that, we can use to pay the expenses of planting that corn. And there's a lot of expenses, aren't there, Mr.
Right.
John? A lot of
There's
expenses.
4 families living out of this farm.
4 families living off this farm. Oh my. That's awesome. And there's Mr. Brian! Hey, I need a combine ride. Are you up for it? All right, let's go. Hey, Brian, what are all these little orange things on the floor down here?
Well, Nora and Colin were in here with me a little bit ago, and they spilled their Cheez-Its on the floor.
No way.
Yep. So it's a little messier in here than it should be.
Oh, wasn't it fun having your kids ride in the combine
Oh
with you?
yeah, they're getting big though. It with mom and both kids in here, it fills it up fast.
And you know, when I called you to ask if we could ride in here, I could tell immediately that you were not by yourself and you would have no room for a passenger.
You can hear the squealing, huh?
Oh, they sounded like they were having fun.
They
So
were.
much fun. I'm glad you're taking time to let them ride with you.
Oh yeah.
Because I
enjoy
know you put in long hours out here and they miss you when you're
it.
working
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, this has been, I don't know, the 3rd week straight, I think. We had one little rain day, and then we got caught up on kind of everything that we broke, and I worked some cattle, and
Uh-huh.
we did some stuff like that.
So this is your 3rd week of corn harvest?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow. Are you getting tired yet?
Yeah, I'm not too bad though.
Not too bad.
Not too
Those
bad.
kids revived you again, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they did. So it's been
Ah.
a good harvest, so it's been fun. You we've been enjoying it. We've had a few breakdowns, nothing really out of the ordinary. I mean, there's lots of moving parts out here. Doesn't matter what color the machines are.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to turn this camera so they can see that corn going into the combine.
Yeah. This is later in the harvest. You know, we've shelled several acres now, so this corn is 105 day maturity, and it was fungicide and everything like that, so it had really good plant health. But if you see, you know, it's not big and pretty. It's the tops are kind of broke off. The plant's not laying down, but the tops are broke off.
What did that? The wind?
No, it's just the stalk's just deteriorating. I mean, as it dries down, the stalk deteriorates.
Now, Mr. Brian, I know there's a lot of kids out there going, you know, I'm seeing all this dead-looking corn planted along the road when I ride in the car with my folks. And it just looks awful, and I'm so concerned for those poor farmers and that dried-up dead corn.
Right.
Is that a need for concern?
No need for concern. At least this time of year anyway. So for us, you know, Southeast Kansas, full harvest kind of gets started at the end of August, you know, September. So if you're starting to see corn dry down that time of year, it's natural. It just means that the plant's done all it's going to do, and it's starting to take moisture out of that grain and dry down, so that way we can harvest it.
Very good. Oh, there's Mr. John. That's the grain truck. I mean, the grain cart pulled by the tractor that you saw. What are you gonna? Why is he driving beside us, Mr. Brian?
Well, so we can keep harvesting while we unload. That way we don't have to stop.
Because that takes extra time.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Very good.
We try to keep her moving as much as possible, but it's been a good harvest. This is the first time we ever run two combines in good corn, and it's been a chore. I'd say John's got about the hardest job out here, so.
He's got it, yeah. He's got to keep up with you guys, letting you dump all the time.
I got a good friend of mine that says the grain cart guy is like the quarterback, and he's the leader of the team. If you don't have a good grain cart driver, then you're not getting much done.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
So he's got to pay attention to both machines and the trucks, you know, all the time. So he sees every part of the field all day long.
Wow.
He might get mad if I tell you, he just had his 77th birthday.
He told me.
He
just told me he had a birthday, and we didn't even take time to sing to him.
Did he tell you anything about the history of this farm or anything like that?
When Steve and I got married almost 31 years ago, we rented this house from Mr. John. That was our first married house home.
That's really neat.
And we loved it. We loved it in that house. But tell us more.
I don't know. I can't remember all the story, but I think John's grandpa lived in that house.
Oh,
so
wow.
That would make.
Do you remember his name?
Henry.
Yeah,
but what's the last name?
I was thinking it was his dad, Michael. Henry Michael.
Yeah, what was the W? What's the W?
I don't know. I never heard the W.
Henry W. Michael. That's what we call it, HW.
Yeah? This is the HW farm?
Yeah, or Grandpa Henry's is what everybody calls it.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll have to ask him, he'll tell you. But
his wife's name was Jessie, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. So that's why I was curious if you'd ask. He's told me before, and then I forget, so I always have to
My
ask
husband
him.
could tell you.
But what generation, if that was John's grandpa?
That was John's grandpa, and I met him just for a brief visit in the nursing home when we were living in this house, and he seemed like a nice man.
Yeah, well, the Michaels seem to be.
They are nice
trends
folks.
that direction. Nope,
Nice.
they've been farming this for a long time, John and Carolyn have, because it's a century farm. So it's been in the family for 100 years. It's got the century farm sign out in front of it.
That is awesome. Can you boys and girls imagine living on the same land in your family for over 100 years?
Pretty neat.
Yeah, very neat indeed. Our farm is a century farm too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. My husband's family came to our farm in 1888. Do the math, and that's over 100 years.
That's over 100 years. That's pretty neat. I think Bennett's have a century farm too, where Travis and Cindy live.
We have a lot of century farms around here, don't we?
That's pretty neat.
We're stayers around here, Brian. We don't move around.
That's right.
I figure I've already got my plot in the cemetery in McCune.
Do ya?
We don't move around much. We stay put and take care of the land.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. Now this is a different header, isn't it, Brian, than when we did the wheat harvest?
Yep.
It looks different.
Yep. This is just for corn, so it's a row head for corn.
A row head?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
It's just so the snouts you see, I'm running right between the rows. So,
okay, now tell me, how many of those snouts are there on there?
Well, there'll be 14 snouts.
And snout is that red thing sticking
Yeah,
out
the red
to a point,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So some of these plants you see are, they're just, the snouts just act as guides. They just guide the corn plant to come right into the row unit on the
Uh-huh.
head. So like some of those plants are, there's not very many in this spot, but the deer knocks some down and all that. So if I drop it down and I run that point just right on the ground, it'll scoop that plant up, let that ear go ahead and come in there.
So if we have a huge storm that blows a lot of this over, it can pick it up pretty much?
Yeah, if it's blown
If it's
over
not
one
too
direction
much.
or depends on which way it is, you're definitely still going to lose some. We don't want any high winds, especially this time of year, but
Right.
we can get most of it.
It's pretty brittle right now, and wind would be a really hard thing on it, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And that's why we go back to, like we were talking about stock quality, or I was saying the stock maturity. Different varieties of corn and different brands sometimes tend to, the stock quality doesn't stay as long, so it's
Yes.
more susceptible to wind damage and stuff after it's dried down. So
And that's where your research is coming in all the time, isn't it? You
Right,
talked
yeah.
about research with
Right.
me before.
doing checks and test plots, and with corn it's a lot of Jim does a really good job of choosing different varieties and you know what numbers and maturity dates and all that stuff. So it's not every corn plant's the same. You know, they're made for different maturity dates. So like this is 105 days, so that's a 105-day maturity date.
From
But
from the time you plant it till
Right.
the time you harvest is 105 days.
no, not
technically.
necessarily till the time it fills, I guess, or the time it makes the ear or what. I can't remember for sure. So
Okay.
It would be the time it's done. The time it's done doing its thing before it's an ear, it's 105. But like 110 day, that just it has a longer fill time and all that stuff. So there's just lots of variables, and sometimes different soil types just aren't as good. You might not take the risk on putting a longer season corn. You do a shorter season or that type of stuff. So there's just lots of factors and variables that go into it.
So Brian, what you're telling me, there's a lot to know when it comes to farming, right?
Oh yeah, a lot to know. A lot of it is just it's almost trial and error. So just
And-
fortunate enough, Jim and John have been doing it long enough too. They kind of have a good baseline. You know, they kind of
Yes.
know what works. And then they've been farming the same ground for so long. That, you know, we talked how many generations this farmer's been in there. John knows the soil like the back of his hand. So
Yeah.
you kind of know what works and what doesn't
Yeah.
work. So, but we're
There's
up
always
for trying.
variables that you can't
Yeah,
control,
yeah.
right?
Weather and timing and everything. I mean, there's so many variables, but
Yeah.
good data's hard to beat.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
most relevant to us too when you can do side by sides.
What does that mean? 2 combines?
No, two plant varieties side by side. So
Are there 2 out here?
There's 3 on this farm actually.
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
that's how we work. Well, you remember when you remember riding in the planter with me and we were planting?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're in right now is the same variety that me and you were planting that day.
Very good.
Okay.
And how is it checking out compared to the other 2?
It's been really good. So this one's been slightly better than the one that was just on the other side of the waterway. But it might not be quite as good as what this other one is on the north side of the farm. I guess there's actually 4 varieties. So it's just kind of where we ended late one night and we swapped some seed around and stuff. But
Can you tell just by looking when you change varieties?
Oh yeah, through the year a lot of times you can see the difference in the plant. Even just like when I'm spraying it and stuff, I can see, you know, it'd be a little different color, a little different height.
When it has a longer maturity date, does it typically produce more of those yellow kernels?
It can, and that's what a lot of what we are learning nowadays. The genetics are getting so much better that it kind of used to be, okay, a longer season corn has more yield potential, but it doesn't handle stress very well. And you know as well as anybody, our environment sometimes can be, our growing environment can sometimes be very stressful. So we have really shallow soils. You know, some farms, we have lots of variables. You know, some farms have 4 different types of soil in the same section, you know, and some years we don't get very much rain at all. So we've shied away from some fuller season corns in the past, but things seem to be changing a little bit. I could be wrong, just based off my opinion. I feel like the fuller season corns have come to be more stress tolerant. So I guess in a short answer, yes, I would say that a fuller season corn definitely has more potential for, you know, a higher
yield.
So more kernels, as you say.
Indeed.
But that's why, like, it's fun to gather data from all over the place, but it's really good to, you know, not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
Plant different varieties, and then do them side by side on same types of soils and stuff. And then that way,
Uh-huh.
you can come harvest, you know.
Yeah,
what-
we
maybe
learned
what
that
to try
even
next
planting
year.
pumpkins. We never planted
Right,
just
yeah.
one kind of pumpkin.
Right.
Because sometimes a freeze or something would go
Oh, right.
after one variety,
Right.
but the other one would bloom at a different time and it wouldn't hurt them at all. So
Right.
we'd have more pumpkins on one variety than others, and some varieties handle the drought better than others,
Handle the stress.
or the rain better than others.
Yep, that makes sense.
Oh, you guys are so smart.
Oh, I don't know about smart. We just try lots of stuff.
I think smart, Brian. You had it right. I had it right. There, we're doing another dump. Oh, Brian.
A lot of corn in it.
What are they going to do with all that corn?
Feed it to chicken, cows.
So you won't be eating any for supper, right?
Not this kind.
Not this kind. This
Yep.
is field corn, not sweet corn, the
That's
kind that
right.
we like to eat.
That's right.
The animals like to eat this kind. We make other stuff out of corn too, right?
Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff. I would say most everything in the grocery store's got some sort of corn background to it.
Yeah,
Lots of high fructose corn syrup. Potato chips got, corn stuff in it.
yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
You'd be hard pressed not to find something on the shelf and then use a little
You
bit
check
of corn
those
somewhere.
labels, guys, and you will see that corn goes in a whole lot of things. But not the kind we want to eat corn on the cob with.
That's right. Takes a lot of bushels.
How many bushels does that grain cart hold? We've gone through this before. Now, but it's different now, right? We did wheat. Now,
We
how
did
about
wheat.
corn?
Yeah, this is corn. So corn weighs 56 pounds per bushel, and wheat weighs 60 pounds per bushel.
So
they
you
called
get a
it-
lot more wheat on than you can corn.
Theoretically,
Right.
yes, but we've had a really good year this year, and our corn has been really heavy.
Yes, that's what you want, isn't it?
Right. So our corn's been close to 59 and 60 pounds. So that's what they. I mean, they rate those grain carts in size of, bushels. So they call that a 1,300 bushel cart.
Uh-huh.
But if you put 60-pound corn on it, you can get over 80,000 pounds. So that's almost 1,500
Oh, my
bushels
goodness.
if you have good test weight on your corn.
Now, will you keep working even after the sun goes down here in a little bit?
Yeah, we will.
You got nice bright lights on this equipment.
Nice bright lights. LEDs have really changed.
Oh,
the way.
I
Little
love
better than
those
a lamp.
LEDs.
Yeah.
Brian, when you get a little older and the
Yeah.
eyesight starts to go, as I can speak from experience, LED lights in your house is a wonderful
they're
addition.
nice. You were asking about the header. we got off subject a little bit. We started talking about the snouts, and then we got talking about corn. But
Uh-huh.
we don't call it. And you guys have been over this before, but we're going to go over it again.
Okay.
We don't call it cutting corn
Really?
Because, yeah.
I always do.
because we're not cutting the plant like we do. You're not cutting the whole plant off like you do when you're cutting wheat, or cutting
Really?
beans.
How come it's so short out there where we've already harvested
That
it?
is what the snap and rolls do on this header. So the plant fits between the row unit. When we pick up and turn around, you can, if you look down there,
Okay.
I'll show you here.
All right, we're almost there.
Yeah. So we'll lift up and let it clean out a little bit. And you see those gaps where those silver, what we call the deck plates are,
Yes.
and then those chains are moving there.
Yeah, I see them moving.
So there's
Oh,
they
look at
stop. So that
that.
deck plate, and I can move it. See, it slides out and in.
Yep.
Okay, so I
Oh,
can
wow.
change that deck plate to the size of the plant, keep the ears from falling through there.
Oh.
All it does, and those snap and rolls that are spinning, those blades are really, 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 really close together. That spin really fast
Uh-huh.
underneath the deck plates.
Uh-huh.
So that breaks the plant and then sucks the plant through the deck plate, and it pops the ear off because the ear can't fit through the deck plate. You see?
Yep,
So
yep.
it actually just grabs the corn stalk, sucks it down, pops the ear off, and then the chains throw the ear into the header. So you definitely are going to get some leaf and some plant
Yes.
in there. And if you have green plant and the stock quality is really good and the moisture's still high, it's minimal of that. And if you look at the field when you get done, it almost looks like you just brought your mower out here and chopped it all off.
I've
'cause
been
it-
noticing
yeah.
that. Some fields look like
Yeah.
they've bush hogged
so
it.
that the plant, the whole corn plant is not actually going through the combine. It looks like it. There's a lot of leaves and stuff coming in.
Yeah?
But majority of that corn plant is staying underneath the head. It goes down and out the back from underneath the head. And so mostly what we're taking in is just the ear and
Just
the husk.
the ear of corn, and the ear
Yeah.
is what has the kernels on
That's
it, right?
Yep, yep.
Just like on a piece, on an ear of corn that you eat, sweet corn,
Right,
corn on the cob.
right.
The field corn has ears of corn with
Right.
the yellow kernels on it.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if you were wearing this combine out, taking through that whole
All
plant
that
through
plant, Yep. It would be a lot harder to clean, to separate if you had to do that. But it's, where we could just get mostly the ear in there. You can grind it up in the rotor, and the current, like it's really dry right now. It's just really dry, actually. It's 12% moisture.
But
so.
that's a good thing, right? You want it to be dry?
Oh, we want it to be dry, but you like it to be fairly dry. The more moisture you have, the better it picks, and the test weight's always a little better. There's a little bit of, they call it like phantom yield loss.
Yes.
The corn doesn't necessarily go away, but it just shrinks enough. The
Really?
drier it gets, it shrinks a little bit.
So it's imperative that you get out here and get this done as
Right,
soon as
try to
possible,
get it done
right?
as soon as possible.
As soon as it gets dry enough.
Yep.
What happens if you pick it? No, you didn't say pick. Cut it. What'd you say? Shell it?
Pick it, or picking or shelling. that's
Picking
what-
or
yeah.
shell it?
Mhm.
What happens if you shell it when there's still a lot of moisture in those kernels?
It's harder to store. You have to be more cautious about where you store it. And if you take it to the elevator, at least our elevators around here, I think it's 15.6 is what they call dry. So
Yes.
anything over 15.6, they kind of start to dock you on that moisture
Uh-oh.
because then they say they have to dry it, and so it costs them more money.
Well,
so
how do they
don't-
dry it once it's in those big grain elevators?
Those a lot of our big elevators around here, some of them have dryers, but we rarely use it. Just our area, we just don't shell a lot of. We just don't have a lot of corn shell that's at high moisture.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of it's just fans, and then there's normally enough dry corn there. They just blend it off and then run fans on it all the time.
Very good. And I suppose that's pretty expensive with all the electricity.
Yeah,
they
it
use.
would be real expensive. So Jim's real cautious about what we put in the bins at home.
Good.
You don't
He
want.
wants it dry.
He wants it dry, right? Yeah.
Very
And if
good.
we'll just run it borderline dry, and where he knows that he can get it dry with the fan.
Right.
And do it efficiently and effectively without having to worry about hot spots in your bins and mold.
What
or
happens
something
if there's
like
hot spots? Can it catch on fire?
that. I guess it could, yeah. But mostly it's mold and stuff. We worry about that a lot in
Oh,
beans.
really? I did not know. And beans?
Yeah, beans are way worse than corn. So wet
Ah.
beans puts off heat as it dries too. It gets really hot. There's
Uh-huh.
hot spots in it. Almost cooks that corn and makes
Oh,
it turns it
boy.
black and makes
Oh
it nasty.
my! And then it's not good for anything, right? If
Right,
it-
exactly. Then when you're ready to sell it, if you took that out of your bin and hauled it to the places, they wouldn't want to pay you as much because it would be low quality that way.
Very good. Brian, what is that thing over there? That boxy looking thing?
That's a deer blind.
A deer blind?
Yeah.
You got blind deer out here?
We got a blind deer out here. Yeah. I don't think so. No, this place is leased for deer hunting, and so there's an outfitter close by, and so there's people out here that hunt deer.
Awesome. I hear you got good deer in Kansas for
There's
hunting.
Yeah, Southeast Kansas has really good deer.
That's what they tell me. They
I don't
say they're
worry
real
about it.
little in other states, but here they have nice big deer.
That's what I don't do. I don't hunt deer.
You're not a hunter?
I'm a hunter, but I just don't hunt deer.
What do you hunt? Birds?
Birds, yeah. I like
What kind of birds?
all the birds.
Ha!
Doves,
That's what you
ducks,
use that big
pheasants.
black Labrador for.
That's right. Yep, he's my bird
What's his
dog.
name?
Moose.
Moose.
Moose. Yep, he's a big boy.
He's a good boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he
I've seen the pictures of you and Moose on Facebook.
is. Yep. He's a birdie guy. He likes them.
What happens to it after it's dumped into the auger wagon, Brian?
Well, John carts it over to the road or the driveway where the semis are parked, and he loads the trucks. So we have two guys that are hauling home and one guy hauling to the elevator in town.
Mr. Brian, am I correct in thinking that farming isn't all about just planting seeds? There's a whole lot of facets in addition to planting seeds, right?
Definitely, yeah.
You gotta be a marketer,
Yep.
a researcher,
Yep.
a businessman.
Yep.
Anything else? Any other hat you're supposed to have to be a
Sometimes-
successful farmer?
Sometimes a mechanic. And
Oh, mechanic! I forgot.
machinist
Now,
or-
why in the world would you need to be a mechanic, Mr. Brian?
Because our stuff, unfortunately, does break down.
Oh my goodness! And you can't be running to town
That's right.
all the time,
Right.
fixing a combine or a tractor,
Yep.
or hiring somebody to come out here and fix
That's
it, right?
Right.
So it behooves you to know a little bit about mechanics,
Mm-hmm. So we're forced to learn it.
whether
That's
you
for sure.
want to or not,
Whether
huh?
we want to or not. Yeah. That and any more on some of these bigger farms, you got to be a HR people
Why?
manager too.
What's
Oh,
that
there's lots
farming
of
got
em-
to do with people?
Lots of employees and guys running around, and you get part-time guys to help, and full-time guys over here, and you just got to keep everybody moving and keep everybody straight. So.
Goodness sakes, and I see Mrs. Michael comes running out to the field about noon every day to feed you
That's
birds.
right. That's right. She does. She does a good job.
I'd say that's one of the best perks ever.
Jim's daughter brought us Chicken Annie's fried chicken today, so that
Oh my goodness. Now how are you going to drive this combine with greasy fingers, Brian?
was a good deal. I shouldn't. I probably eat way more chicken than I should too. That's for sure.
Oh, no, you got to have Chicken Annie's chicken every now and
Oh,
again.
it's good stuff.
Now you guys may not know, but Southeast Kansas is known for good fried chicken.
All right.
Chicken Annie's is one of those places where you can get you a good chicken dinner. And here we are at another place in the field where we haven't harvested yet. There's a row that's been done.
Yep, Jimmy did that one. So this is a different. So we're actually he'd done a side by side with those two varieties. So this is actually a different.
This is different varieties.
This is different variety. Yep,
Now,
different
what do you
brand.
think? Can you
You
tell
see-
just by looking if it's better?
I can't tell that it's better right away, but I can definitely tell that it's different. So that other stuff was short, the tops were broke off, but you see how different the tops have just kind of recently broke off of this, and they're just
We
laid.
did have a wind come through last week, I think, with that 8/10 we got.
Yep. And then just kind of right offhand, as it's coming through the header, I can tell that this, even though the tops are broke off that other, I can kind of tell that the stock quality is not as tough. So those
Uh-huh.
snap and rolls are actually, that plant's breaking so fast, it's not able to pull it through. So if you look at the header, there's a lot more plant
You're
actually
right, I
coming into
see
the
that.
combine. Yeah. So it's picking dirty, I guess is what I would call it.
So you got all this dust and dirt going in through your
Yeah, all the
combine,
leaf.
right?
So you have to use, we've talked about the combine separating before, so now we're just really using our sieves, chaffer, and the cleaning fan to blow that air, to blow that, all that broken leaves and stuff, make sure we get just nothing but clean grain, down to the bottom of the combine, and then that way I can ride the elevator back up to
Uh-huh.
the clean grain. bins.
Wow. So bright out there. Do you look forward to when the sun goes down, or would you rather work when the daylight's here?
I like it in the daylight, picking corn better.
You can see what's going on,
Yeah,
can't you?
yeah, you can. So this header too, it doesn't. We didn't know we were going to run two heads, and so we kind of pulled this one out of the shed, and we had actually never used this header before. This
Really?
year, yeah, this was one we bought used in a sale. It's got automatic header height sensors on it, but we can't figure out where the problem is, and I just haven't took the time to work on it. So I have to
Yeah?
manually control the head up and down, and this kind of dust and sun, I can just barely see those points, and I can't hardly gauge the distance to the ground. So
Yeah.
it's hard. I got to look at my screen to say, oh, okay, my header height's at 15%,
Yeah.
or 12%. That way I kind of know where I'm at. 'Cause
Wow.
I don't want to run those points in a hole or something and bend it.
That would be awful, wouldn't it?
Unfortunately, it does happen.
They don't give these combines away, do they, Brian?
They definitely don't do that.
There's your screen he's talking about.
It tells me everything that's going on. I think we've talked about it before, but
Yeah.
it's got all sorts of. It's got 6 different pages on it, and then other, performance and data pages, and toolboxes, and
Yeah.
diagnostics, and all that stuff. So you can see almost anything that's going on in the machine through that screen right there.
I hope the guy that invented that monitor is a very wealthy man.
He probably is.
Oh my, after you've used such things, you don't want to go back to the olden days, do you?
No, not very bad.
Horse-drawn threshing machines, wouldn't that be fun, Brian?
Oh, that'd be something.
You know you want to.
I don't. I
Boy,
getting
it'd take
stuff done.
forever,
That's
wouldn't
the
it, to
problem.
harvest a field?
Yep, I like getting stuff done in the day.
Yeah, me too. I want to see progress.
Progress, that's right.
There he
We're
goes.
putting a pretty good dent in this one today.
Good. Do you plan on getting this field done today?
I don't know, it'll be, I say it's early, it's 6 o'clock, but we'll be a long ways by the time the sun goes all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say we'll get her done. We've got good help today, and the trucks are moving, and that's the hardest thing when you're picking good corn, for
I
us.
just jumped on the truck while I was there.
For us, it's been a really good year, so
Good.
if you can keep the trucks moving, that's your number one deal, so.
The bad part about having a high yield is it slows you down taking the corn back to the farm or to the co-op, right?
Yeah, it's not really bad though.
It's a
hard
good
even
problem
say
to
that
have,
it's
isn't
bad.
it?
Yeah, it's a good
A
problem to have.
great problem to have.
So we're fortunate. You know what? You remember riding in the planter with me,
Yep.
and we talked about all the variables that could happen, and we had no idea what we were going to have at this time. That was
How long ago was that?
that in April or was it in March?
I'd have to look back, but I'll be sure and post that link.
It was cool
down below.
outside.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, and I remember you saying it was perfect soil for planting corn.
Yeah, well, I remember because we had almost all the tractors over here. It seemed like
Yeah,
you
I
had about
remember.
4 tractors in your field at one time.
That was a fun sight to behold.
This is kind of a fun section to be on when we're over here deciding it's time to get done. So Jim and John got a lot of acres over here that led up to you guys, so
That's awesome.
it's kind of a neat section. You can get a lot going on when we're working down and
Yay!
planting and that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
and spraying and everything else.
Well, Mr. Brian, we're almost to my truck up
We
there.
are.
You ready for me to get out of here and
You
stop
can-
jabbering in your ear?
You can stay as long as you want.
Hey,
I don't normally have company.
Hey, it sounds to me like I better get home and make some cookies.
That's right. Hey, I'll do that. I'll take you back to your truck. I'll drive you to the house.
All right. Thanks so much for letting us ride,
Oh,
Brian.
thanks for
We
riding.
appreciate you. You guys are great farmers, and we really appreciate all the hard work you do for us.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
Oh, I know so.
It's not for lack of effort.
Yeah. What are you doing out of the combine, Brian?
Stretching my knees.
All right.
Gotta stretch.
I think you've earned a rest.
Uh-oh. Better get back at me.
All righty. Okay, bye-bye. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.